Hello there, welcome to another episode of World of Tanks with Ungainly Titan. We're here in Redshire 1944, standard battle. I'm in the M26 Pershing, Tier 8 American medium tank, and I think personally that you should play Redshire 1944 more or less the same way you play regular Redshire. I don't think that the changes warrant a different strategic assessment. The more important features of the terrain are still the same ones that are important in the other version of the game. I think, for instance, that castle on the western side of the map is more of a trap. It's not really of much use to anybody. You reconnaissance this ridgeline as early as you can. You dominate the central ridgeline. The heavy tanks project up through the heavy tank corridor, and you kind of screen the western side from the central ridge with tank destroyers and or artillery. Now, there are not a lot of tank destroyers. It's a very kind of heavy tank orientated game. But it's also a game where I think a case can be made that Wargaming should revisit the replay system. And I would urge anyone that watches this, if they get the opportunity on the forums or on Facebook or in questions and answers, and are people are asking what do they want, further improvements to the game. I think a further improvement on the replay system would be desirable, and a longer persistence of replays. The availability of replays, even if it's through some kind of web interface, after a match for a day or two would be very desirable. Because the limited availability of the replay system is one of its big drawbacks. Because if you were playing in a regular session of World of Tanks, you might not realise that this match was worthy of further study when you were playing it. And it might be only afterwards, when you're reviewing video footage like I do, that you decide, this is actually quite an interesting game. I'd love to see it from the other side's point of view. The other problem with the replay system, of course, is you only get a following camera point of view. You don't get the full player experience. You don't see what they're looking at, and you don't see, in particular, reticle or how they aim their shots and stuff like that. Now, we're looking at about 5-6 enemy tanks, but 2/3 of our team are on the eastern side of the map. There's only 4 tanks, now 5 tanks. There's 3 on the central ridge, 2 inside the castle, and the 2 inside the castle are faced up against 2 enemy tanks. There's a light tank as well. There's a heavy tank hanging out south of the ridgeline, and there's a couple of tanks visible or spotted over on the heavy tank side, which means there's quite a lot of enemy tanks unaccounted for. Okay, there's 3 of them dead, but there's still a lot of enemy tanks unaccounted for. And now we're looking at the tanks in the castle, and then the light tank drives into the castle, and 2 more tanks drive around the moat, come up the other side, and drive in from the northern side. And I'm spotted. It's not like they don't know I'm here. And they're presenting their rear to me and to the guy beside me, who is probably also spotted. If I'm spotted, he's likely to be spotted. Yet these guys are doing this, and you're kind of going, why? And what are the rest of their tanks doing that they think this is a good idea? At no point did the enemy seem to me to be showing more tanks at any given location than there was of our guys. But at the same time, there's no evidence down at the heavy tank side that they have all their tanks down there, unless there's tanks coming up from the base area still, and just rolling up into the meat grinder of our guys going south. I don't know. And it didn't occur to me to wonder until I'd reviewed the match, and then I thought, this is interesting, why is this going on? And I can't really tell from looking at the minimap, because sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can figure out kind of what's going on in the minds of the enemy team. But in this case it's not obvious, it's not clear to me why things are going the way they're going. So now we've won the western side of the map, and we didn't have a lot of tanks here. Now we've 6 tanks here at the moment. But most of the time, since I arrived back in the Central Ridge, we'd only maybe 4 tanks, 5 tanks on the western side of the map. We've practically the enemy team wiped out, which means we've also killed most of the tanks over the heavy tank corridor side of the map, on the eastern side of the map, without losing anything more than 3 tanks, and we lost them very early on in the game. That T-29 is one of the last enemy tanks left alive, and he's obviously been fighting over the heavy tank side of the map, and he has got the highest damage score in the game. And you're left wondering, like, why is that? How is that actually possible? I mean, I've got 13 damaging ribbons, I've got 8 assisted damage ribbons, and a lot of them were gotten right at the very start, when I was driving around literally out of control. Picked up a lot of my assisted damage ribbons. That's 2,000 assisted damage. I came first by experience and got a first class mastery, but that's almost beside the point. What makes this game really weird is just how little damage the enemy team managed to accomplish. It's quite breathtaking. And it seems to me that they managed to do it by just not being in the fight when their colleagues were in the fight. They were arriving to the fight in small amounts, and we were basically beating them in detail and not losing any tanks as a consequence. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a like if you did, and consider giving the channel a subscription, and I will catch you all again soon. Bye.